Well now, pull up a chair, friends. Old Grumpy Puppy wants to tell you all about something mighty interesting. Back in the late 1940s, folks around our part of the South believed in all sorts of signs, superstitions, and old traditions. Now, some people nowadays might call them nonsense. But back then, folks took them serious. You see, many families who settled in these hills came from Ireland, Scotland, England, Germany, and the Appalachian Mountains. They brought their recipes, their songs, their Bibles. They brought their old stories too. Those stories got passed from grandparents to parents and from parents to children. Before long, nobody remembered where they came from. They just became part of everyday life. My Granny May knew more superstitions than anybody I ever met. Matter of fact, she could turn almost anything into a warning. If she saw a whippoorwill sitting too close to the house after dark, she'd get real quiet. Old mountain folks believed a whippoorwill lingering near a home could be a sign that somebody was fixing to pass on. Now, whether that was true or not, I couldn't say. But I know Granny believed it. Then there were owls. Lord have mercy. If an owl hooted near the house, folks paid attention. Some said it meant news was coming, others thought it was a warning. Either way, nobody ignored an owl. One superstition came all the way from Europe. Break a mirror and you'd have 7 years of bad luck. Now, I don't know who counted those 7 years. But when my cousin Earl broke Granny's mirror, he spent the next month walking around like disaster was waiting behind every tree. Truth is, he was probably more scared of Granny than bad luck. Then there were weather signs. And some of these might have had a little truth to them. If cows gathered together in the pasture, rain might be on the way. If smoke from the chimney stayed low to the ground, weather was probably changing. If pine cones stayed shut tight, moisture was moving in. Old-timers watched nature every day. After enough years, they learned things most folks miss. One thing I remember came from German settlers. Spiders in a house were considered lucky. That worked out just fine for Granny May. She'd point at a spider and say, "Leave him alone, he's catching flies and minding his own business." Another tradition showed up every New Year's Day. Folks believed whatever you did on the first day of the year would follow you the rest of the year. So people tried not to fuss, tried not to borrow money, tried not to complain. Seems to me that's still pretty good advice. Now, one superstition I always liked involved wishing stars. If you spotted the first star of the evening and made a wish before speaking, some folks believed it might come true. As a pup, I made a whole lot of wishes. Most involved pie. A few involved biscuits. And every now and then, one actually came true. Or maybe Granny just heard me talking. The funny thing is, most of these old beliefs weren't really about magic. They were about paying attention, watching nature, listening to elders, respecting things you didn't fully understand. Those stories taught people to notice the world around them. Maybe that's why they've lasted so long. Now, were all those superstitions true? Probably not. At least not exactly. But the stories themselves mattered, because every one of them carried a little piece of family history. The little piece of where folks came from, and a little piece of home. And friends, that's the lesson old Grumpy Puppy wants y'all to remember. The old stories aren't really about luck. They're about people sharing wisdom, people preserving memories, people making sure the next generation remembered where they came from. So listen when the old folks start telling stories. Ask questions. Write things down. Keep those memories alive. Because one day you'll be the one sitting on the porch, and somebody younger will be listening. And it'll be your turn to pass the stories along. And friends, old Grumpy Puppy reckons that's a mighty fine tradition to keep alive.